Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Tanya, welcome to Consulting Leaders. We did it. We are live. Let's jump straight into it. What got you into the lovely world of business coaching?
Sure. Well, it's been quite a journey. I was leading my own company with my business partner, and it was in the IT space for about 12 years. And when we first started that company from scratch, I absolutely loved it because I loved being in control of my own business, moving in that certain lane, which is really fast. I love juggling all the balls. But I did quickly know, because I hadn't had experience running a business before, how incredibly difficult it is. There's so many things that we're not aware about as business owners, HR and sales and all these. There was so much to learn. So I engaged a business coach very early on to help. And I realized that a coach is an investment rather than just seeing it as like an expense item on the P&L. And I'm so glad I did that because it really set the business up for success and created a path for growth. And over the 12-year period, we had, I think, about 5 different business coaches. Over that time, I had a life coach at one stage, mentors, and I really understood how important it is to have your support team, your mastermind around you. And at the time, I saw it as investment in the business, but I didn't understand until later that I was upskilling myself. I was learning all of the best practices on how to run a business, and then growing personally and being pushed through their coaching. And once we expanded our company from Perth in Australia to New York, a lot of things got accelerated in good ways, but then from a business perspective, everything was going great. We had an international business, but personally, my life started to kind of go down because I'd really started pushing things to the brink, and I had missed a very important piece out of the journey and what I was doing, which was me. I kind of completely forgot about me. So a couple of years into the New York experience, everything in my life came crashing down at once. And at that point, I had a baby, and I'd separated from my husband, who was my business partner, and it just all kind of came crashing. And then not long after that, COVID hit. And so I moved from New York with my 1.5-year-old baby back to Perth. And I just took time to pause and reevaluate what's important to me. And I realized I just loved, well, first and foremost, I realized I didn't like IT. It was my business partner's passion. And so that was a big wake-up call because I was in my late 30s. I had a baby, and then it slaps me in the face with like a Mack truck. I had been following someone else's passion for 12 years and had forgotten about me and what mine was, and I didn't know what mine was at the time. So I went on this path of deep discovery, and I really wanted to do it for me, but also do it for my daughter. It was important for me that she had a mum who woke up and felt excited to live the day, and she had a plan, but she knew she had a vision for her life. And so since then, I've been transforming myself. But earlier in the piece, I realized as part of that process that I love being at service to others. I love helping others. And that, coupled with my business skill set that I had acquired over those 12 years, coaching seemed to be a perfect marriage. And so I've been on that journey since, and I really realized this is what I'll do forever in my professional sense. but I wake up every day and I don't feel like I'm working. It's beautiful.
Amazing. And I love how that's usually how a lot of B2B coach or consultants end up launching their own companies, because they had that need or they had that skill set to begin with, and they just naturally progress towards actually helping others go through the same thing and implementing the same type of solutions. So I like it. And it highlights how mission driven you, I suspect, might be in your work, because you've lived through all those experiences. So that being said, Tanya, can you describe to us what's the problem that you help solving right now, and for what type of people? Like, who do you help and what do you help them achieve?
Sure. So I work with business executives and business leaders that have been doing what they've been doing for some time. So they're established in their career. They've achieved a certain level of success, perhaps climbed the corporate ladder, or their own business has got to a place where it's got to a point where it's doing well. But then at the same time, they're questioning, they're feeling empty, perhaps a bit misaligned, because a lot of that drive and the time and the effort has been focused on the business. And there's so many other areas in our lives that are important and essential, that as a part of the process can be neglected. And also neglecting our soul and what is coming from inside our heart. We kind of go on throughout that journey. We stamp ourselves out all the time, and business seems to take the biggest piece of the pie. So this misalignment really can show up in people's lives as just all of a sudden feeling disconnected, and not aligned to where their business is, but then also in their relationships, perhaps their health. And there's so many other things going on in the world, isn't there, with, the changes in AI, and especially for leaders at a certain level, there's a lot of big work to be done, a lot of change, but also nobody really understands what's going to happen after 5 years. And, that's a lot of stress for people operating at that level to absorb. And if things are misaligned in other areas of their life, the potential is that it'll be compounded, and, the cracks turn into massive cracks, which turn into, an earthquake, perhaps. So that's the problem that I'm trying to solve. And I can resonate with it, as you said, because that's the place that I came from. I was one of those people. I pushed everything in business to the brink and forgot about the other stuff that's about me and what's important for me. So that's why I'm deeply passionate about what I do. I came from a place of coaching business owners on business, but I've realized that there's more than business. I can speak about business stuff all day, but especially with AI, everything's changing. People are now going to AI to ask us, my role as a business coach is almost redundant. I want to have a bigger impact on people at that level, because not only just for them, but also for their teams. Because if they can embrace a different mindset, it doesn't mean business isn't important, yes, but embrace a more aligned and balanced mindset, then that can infiltrate down through their team and their organization, and then positive change can happen. Sorry, I can't.
Oh no, it's me. I was muted. Here we go. The joys of the
Okay.
direct. So I like that. Tell me a bit more about your ICP. Like, what I'm trying to understand is, so you've helped business founders with business coaching, you're helping executives. So who is it that you typically end up working with and helping? And is it the same person as the decision maker, right? Because as you target with B2B coaching bigger and bigger organizations, sometimes the person who will bring you in is not the person you will end up coaching. So in your case, Tanya, who is it specifically that you're helping? and who's making the
Mm-hmm.
decision of you helping them?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think before what's most important in before the position of the person is around their mindset and if they're ready. Because I have coached people, leaders that believe they're ready, or it could be a kind of a checkbox. Oh, I should have a coach, you know. But once they get involved in the process, they realize that there's a lot of deep work to do, and some people aren't ready to peel back the layers and, you know, unlock the box inside, because it is a journey and it takes, you know, there's various stages within that journey as well. So it's adopting that mindset of being ready for it, I think, is essential and one of the most critical elements of me taking on a client. And then it could be, the level doesn't have to be specific. So it could be a middle level manager who is ready to take that next step up and is ready to embrace that mindset, you know, of being an inspiring leader that leads from within first, all the way up to, you know, high level management or executive. I mean, the process is still the same. It's it obviously it varies, and I tweak it accordingly, but it's all the same journey at the end. So the critical part is mindset. They have to be ready for it.
So that is for sure. And I agree with you. You need to be coachable in order to get results from coach. Sounds simple, but it is very true. And most people are not in a place where they can actually receive feedback, even personal feedback, without taking it personally, which is a bit of a dichotomy here. But that's how important it is to. I agree with you, Tanya, be able to get results for your clients. Now, is there any specific industry? Once we've identified people that are coachable, are in the right space, have done that deep work before starting working with you, is there a specific industry? Is there a specific industry company size? Like, who do you see yourself helping the most, or is it really completely agnostic in terms of industry and in terms of company size?
Yep, it's very open. The only thing I would say would be if it's a small business, having at least a small team. So one of my clients is a small business. They've only been established for 3 years. They have 4 people at the moment in a couple of years, but they are growing very fast because their mindset is there. They are really geared to embrace AI, but do it for the right reasons, not just outsourcing everything. It's okay, how do we automate? How do we get the lower level processes taken? Where are we going? We've got the vision in place, and they're just going like this. So, and on the opposite end of the scale, it can be much larger, companies. So, yeah, again, it just really comes down to mindset and also the leader's ability to have perspective or willing to grasp perspective on, okay, where are we going here with the world, and being able to have that adaptability and open to change mindset, but also wanting to, for me, it's really important that it's not just all about business, because that particular client I was talking about, they're a husband and wife team. So it's very close to home for me, because I had a marriage. I got divorced in the process of expanding my company. So they're very willing to entertain creating boundaries in their personal life, understanding their personal vision, and all of those other elements. So it's not just this one lane, it's looking at the whole piece of the pie and focusing on different aspects at different times, of course. Definitely not neglecting business, but coming from a place where we understand what we want and we're willing to embrace that, is critical for me.
So, how do you, knowing that you can go very broad, right? What I'm trying to understand when it comes to the business of B2B coaching and consulting, and for the people listening to us as well, is okay, once we've identified who we are helping and how, which clearly is clear in your case. How do we market to that specific avatar so that we get their attention? Which is a bit kind of the next question when it comes to what has have you seen working for you when it comes to
Mm.
getting that attention from the people that you can actually help. And so if we stick to your criterias, the people who are in the right mental space, the people who are coachable, the people who've done that deep work beforehand, the people who are open to
Mhm.
feedback and coaching, how do
Mhm.
you get those people's attention, and what have you done
Mm.
to market yourself and your coaching practice?
Yeah. So I've kept my approach, what I would call probably the lower phase at this point, because I'm embracing this aligned, balanced success life. And the reason is because I have two young girls, a 3 to 7 year old, and so I'm a mum first, and I also am very passionate about my health and my family. So I've been able to look at the hierarchies of my values and understand what's important. And business is certainly in the top five. Uh, but what that means is I'm not able to push full throttle down, which is what my natural brain wiring wants to do, is to go. That's how I have been. I was a competitive runner for a decade. So I had my first coach was when I was 8. I'm used to being pushed to win. And so I've had to relearn that by understanding what's important to me. So going back to your the question around marketing and what works, it's about being consistent. So for me, LinkedIn is a big one. I consistently am posting content, different types of content, a lot of thought leadership type things, and creating contacts and relationships with people through a genuine connection, not the automated messages that come through that I'm just so sick of getting those in my LinkedIn messaging inbox. I will reach out to people that I feel they're in my target client range, and try to engage in a genuine conversation. And it's a more personalized, authentic approach. And then on top of that, I've just written my first book called Balanced Success, and I've written that not to become New York's bestseller, but to use as a platform to spread my message.
Mhm.
Sorry?
No, I was saying yet, not a New York
Yeah,
bestseller, New York Times bestseller yet. But sorry,
yes.
please continue. So to educate your targets, to make them to make them see what you're doing.
Yes, I guess have a larger platform to speak, not just at corporate events, but community, to schools and things like that as well, because I think young adults or teenagers in their later years need to hear this message. So that's a great way for me to have a platform, and people who at a certain level will hear the message that are ready to hear it. And then apart from that, I do workshops and things like that as well with corporate groups. So I'm able to do, I don't engage in any specific paid online type marketing activities, but I do have plans for that. I've got big plans, but I'm just kind of bit by bit really walking the walk and talking the talk, if that's probably the best way I can say it.
Oh, and so that does make a lot of sense. And I guess that LinkedIn strategy, being consistent. Okay, there are a few things I want to double down on here because I think this is very valuable for people listening to us and B2B coaches and consultants who are looking at ways to grow their business and market. First of all, I would say being very clear on who you help is super important because you're going to position and target your message based on who is it that you're trying to reach, and knowing them better than they know themselves, almost, in terms of what they are struggling with, depending on where they are in their journey of being a business founder or an executive, what pain points they have, what desired outcomes they have. If you position your message clearly and properly, depending on where you want them to see you throughout this journey, they're gonna be able to relate directly. Then being consistent is absolutely important. I often have this discussion. People come to me and they're like, I want to have a brand. I'm like, cool, it's going to take 3 years. Let's rock and roll. And I'm like, what do you mean? No, actually, what I want is clients. I'm like, right. So brand is super important, but it takes time, and being consistent is the key to it. But because so few people are actually willing to do the work, and that's what it actually takes. So I like that you're doing this on LinkedIn. The book is a very good idea usually, plus being a published author helps for credibility. What paid marketing are you thinking about? Out of curiosity, Tanya, big things are coming. Can you give us a bit of a teaser of what you're thinking of implementing?
Well, I'm lucky enough that my partner is a specialist in that area. So he's created a plan. Obviously, SEO is a thing, important for website, and there's the traditional methods like your PPC. I've been looking at things like creating click funnels and having a chatbot on my website that's AI driven. So I've trained it up with my everything. So there's varying pieces to come into play, and I'll be doing it in a phased approach because, I'm based in Perth, Australia now, and I can't take on 1 million clients as much as I would love to. And I understand the power of outsourcing and using AI to really help us leverage and outsource those activities. So that is something that I will be doing and embracing over the next few years, but still keeping the integrity of what my business and ethos is about, my values, because we've all had experiences where everything's getting pushed too far in that way. So I think it's a great, I wouldn't say point of difference, but it's nice to, especially when you're looking to build trust with your coach, having access to them and really leading from a space from the start where it's personal and it's at that kind of upper level. That's where the place and the space that I work in. So it needs to have that quality, but also the authenticity behind it.
I like it a lot. So tell us a bit more about how you take people from this initial awareness, right? So LinkedIn content, all the stuff that you've been publishing consistently, the book. What's your playbook to go from initial awareness, right, to, okay, now you know me, you understand me, we have a deeper level of trust, right? Let's cross the finish line. SOW, letter of engagement, let's rock and roll. How do you get people from, initial interest to working with you?
Yeah. Okay. Well, initially in the first conversation, it's about establishing safety and connection. So that really, it's about me coming from a place where I do a lot of listening and ask, a lot of questions, not extremely deep ones too quickly, because that can be a lot for some people who haven't really been seen in that deeper way. A lot of the leaders and the executives that I work with, they're operating from a world where everything is driven from the outside rather than the inside out. So it's just bam this, bam that, people, strategy, this change, and they've put a kind of a wall up. So it's different for every person how thick all of the armor is. Armor is a good way to explain it. How big the armor is and how many spikes it has, and so I can kind of figure that out in a process that feels comfortable for them through asking questions and really finding out what's important to them in their life. How do they want to feel good? How do they want to feel like in their life? Those types of questions that are kind of bigger picture, but it starts to open up their mind to thinking, okay, there's other things, there's other things going on that's not just about the next, strategy meeting with the board. And through that process, once I do establish a certain level of trust, then they may have some moments of awareness, and I can then reflect back to them some insights that I've noticed or some patterns in things that they have said. And usually if they're ready, there's a moment where they kind of realize that, okay, it's time that I'm ready to change. and that has to come with them. So for some people, it's like, oh gosh, this is too much. I don't want to think about life. I've just got the next meeting. So they're kind of, I can sense that they're not quite ready. So it's a very intuitive way that I have the first engagements. But once they get to a place where they realize, the certain people realize that their vision for their life is really the most important thing, and it's time for them to honor themselves and to come from a place of inner leadership, which will then, it will expand into everything. That's when they're ready to commit. And so that's the point where they're ready to take that big step for themselves.
Like it. So how do you get them to commit to take that big step? I guess that's always the difficulty, right? For B2B coaches and consultants, it's usually high tickets, it's usually high engagement, high involvement, sometimes also times and resources wise. So what has been your strategy over the last 2 years and a half to get people to take that leap? Do you have a specific, I don't know, follow-up process? Do you use specific case studies? Like, how do you get those people to commit and, take that leap?
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely don't come from a salesy, pushy approach. When I was trained as a business coach and licensed, I learnt that methodology through a certain way, and it just gave me the ick, to be honest, which is why I ended up going out on my own. So yes, I have a follow-up approach, of course. I have my package that I send them that has case studies and testimonials. I also offer them the opportunity to speak to my clients, because I think that's really important, because anyone can write a testimonial these days. So it's really creating authentic ways for them to feel comfortable with taking the next step. And also, just recently, I have revised my packaging. I still have to update my website on this, but instead of it being this continuous coaching until, forever, I've decided to create an more intensive version, because the thing that I've realized is people at this level, they need short, punchy stuff. They've got a lot of big work to do for their organizations and the world and their teams and themselves. The last thing they need is this thing that goes on forever. And so I've shortened things, and the point is, it's about them and empowering them. And I don't want them to need me anymore. At a certain point when they're ready, different people are ready at different times, but of course I'll be there to check in and all of those, and if they want to come back, fine. But my goal with my clients is to let's get it done as quick as possible, in the right way, with quality, of course, not compromising. But that's I've found as more appealing, because it's a lower cost, less risk. Let's go, let's get it done, and that works.
I like it, and I like one of the things you said here, which is very close to one of the coach that we started working with, who was like, I want to be the last coach someone ever needs, because I don't want to keep on the engagement going. I want to give them the tools, so to help them right now because they need external help, but then I want to give them the framework, the tool, the habits, and the system that they can follow to keep on doing it by themselves and keep on growing by themselves, because they've been coached the right way. And I like this approach a lot. Now, business-wise, it's always okay, but where do you get your recurring revenues from? Actually, that creates such an abundance mindset, because people are like, this is amazing. I need to get all the people to get this support. And so he's getting not recurring business, but now the reoccurring business from people recommending him and going through the same process. So I like what you mentioned here a lot.
Thank you.
Speaking of retaining, so how do you do that, Tanya? How do you go from that initial engagement to making sure that you keep on providing value to those clients, all whilst being able to increase the average amount of money you're making per customers? I understand, and I like the approach of not being salesy. That's what you learn from a coach, not the way you rock and you roll. But so how do you make sure that once you get an engagement, you can keep on helping those people and keep getting that value for yourself as well? How do you do that in your business?
Yeah. Well, like I said, I like it there to be an end date at the most appropriate time. But then that's not see you later, off you go, kick the kids out of the nest. That's not what parents do. They will kind of kick them out of the house and then, you keep checking in. And I do that with all of my clients. I probably have a bit of a mother hen approach to my style because I really care about them. So I will always keep checking in. But then, when we're on the kind of the outer stages of their coaching journey, we'll talk about, I'll ask them, are there other people within your team that can benefit from this? Do you know people? So I'm not afraid to ask those questions because, again, I don't feel like I'm selling something. I'm here to offer something that I feel like people in the world needs, specific to a certain level and persona, of course. But I'll ask those questions. And who can you connect me with? I'm all about relationships. And so relationships, I have a whole strategy for my business, various types of relationships. They're critical, aren't they? We have to remain connected. But it's also about being clear around who we want to be connected with and how. And again, it doesn't come down to being salesy. It's more being really focused with who needs us and how can they benefit from it. What impact will that have on their life? So it comes from a great place of love. And I think people feel that. I've been in so many salesy meetings over my journey of my career, and like I said, I just get the ick instantly. So, I really come from a place that's quite opposite to that.
This approach a lot. And I like this because we really feel that you've worked on your approach and that you're deliberate and honest about how you do business and executive coaching. And I like this a lot. So you already kind of alluded to it with the things that you have in mind of implementing in the foreseeable future. I have a curveball question for you. Where would you say in your business, right, not as a person, but in your business, you feel the most stuck right now? The reason I'm asking you this is we will have some B2B coaches, consultants listening to us who will be stuck at the same point. I think it's always fascinating to hear from your peers what they think about a problem they are facing that you're facing as well. So for you, what would that be and how are you thinking about solving it?
Yeah. So I don't feel stuck. I think I'd like to change the word, if I may, to challenged.
Yes,
I'm not feeling stuck anywhere. But of course there are challenges. So my main challenge is, funny enough, the thing that I'm, is my message, which is around, I still want to go. I'm still that person who wants to work around the clock, pull out my laptop when I get home, work, just go, achieve success in business. I don't think that will ever go away. But through the work that I have done and the systems that I've created and the mindset and the new habits and my vision in life, I'm able to override it. But sometimes it's on a daily basis. Sometimes I feel challenged, I've got to get my girls from school, but I've still got all this stuff I want to do. So I'm constantly battling with myself, and it's, I'm human. This has become my message. But it also is my biggest challenge at the same time. And I'm not unhappy to say that because this is real life and there's always things coming at us. And if we don't have that clarity around what's important, we can get lost down those different rabbit holes, so to speak. So that is my biggest challenge is my message. And I feel like I'm doing a really good job at kind of, I consider that version of me to be like a gremlin on my shoulder. So I have like a little chat to the gremlin and say, no, time with the girls. Let's go jump on the trampoline in the front garden and I'm going to do it without guilt. That is one of the big things I've had to learn, is not feeling guilty or that I should be doing something else. It's like, if I'm going to be present with them, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to be all in. If I'm going to go to the gym, I'm going to go, and I'm not going to be pondering over every problem of the day. So it's just, I'm constantly reminding myself what's important and what space to be in to really embrace that aligned lifestyle. So, yeah.
Oh, I like this a lot. So maybe to flip the question a bit, because I like it. I like the reward of like challenged versus stuck. This is really good, I think. What's something that you're looking forward to? Like, what's one of the things that you're working on right now and that you're like looking forward to implement and like take to the next level in the next 3 to 6 months to take your business to the next level? I think you mentioned like both SEO earlier, right? Is there anything else, something that you're looking forward to get going in your business?
Yeah, so my book, I've just launched it a month ago. So I've spent a big part of this year writing it, in addition to maintaining my client base and then all the other things in life. So now we're going into kind of the end of the year, and in Australia, people start kind of going to Christmas parties around now, and it's, that's it. Year's done. It's a bit different to when I was living in New York. It was the Christmas day, and then you're back into it, and I felt incredibly ripped off. But so I realized it's actually, for me, I'm embracing it, like I said, without guilt. So I'm planning ahead now for how I can speak at big events, how I can get my message out there through my book's message, different workshops with corporate. So that's my main priority. And then I've already got my next book in mind. So I'm having to, pause. I'm having to hold the breakdown, but the book keeps coming into my head. So I think over Christmas, I will take a few chunks of time out and start writing my second book. So they're the priorities at the moment.
And I like this. I was checking if I was on mute. I like this, and I think this echoes perfectly one of the things that Greg Stian on LinkedIn just mentioned. Success that doesn't come at the cost of your health or identity, which is something most people don't realize. They've traded those until it's too late. Worth a listen. Thanks, Greg, and I guess that validates a lot what you just said, Tanya. Tanya, if people want to find out more about you and what you do, where should they go?
Sure. So my website is alignsuccess.com.au, and then, or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, Tanya Mills, or Instagram. I think it's Tanya Millsy. So yeah, they're the three main ways.
Amazing. Well, we'll put all the links in the description. What I can say for sure is that you gained at least one connection on LinkedIn from this interview. Me, I just added you. Tanya, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.